as you all know, Fire Emblem Echoes is one of my favorite Fire Emblem games, if not my favorite. And I'm planning on doing some sort of playthrough challenge of it soon enough. But I have some other stuff I want to get out of the way first, so don't worry. But there is a banner I really want to see, and I think we actually, now that we had the Fire Emblem Anniversary banner featuring child versions of some of the FE1 cast, we actually have a decent chance of getting this banner. So I decided to share my ideas for it, and at the end, I'll kind of explain why I think it's possible, likely, and obviously, just general everything, and let's get into the video, mostly because I really just want to show you guys all the ideas I came up with. See you soon. This was an interesting one, just on the sheer factor of these units. I don't want to just, like, in-game, they pretty much are all sword infantries with a stick as their weapon. You see how that comes a problem when I'm trying to base these off of their in-game appearances. Right? And trust me, it would be a lot easier if I could just make Alm and Celica a duo hero. Because this one does need one. Because we're making a concept banner for a seasonal. But genuinely, I feel that what I came up with, I think it's fitting, huh? Just a very unit that's focused on both staying away from allies and being together is kind of the theme. They can kind of handle both with their base kits. Very quick, speedy, based on Young Marth, stat spread wise, close call unit with his new weapon, because instead of giving him a stick, I gave him a homemade falchion, which basically, if it's adjacent to an ally, effective against... If unit is adjacent to an ally, grant effective against dragon to unit. If unit has above 75% HP and is not adjacent to an ally, unit can counterattack regardless of range. Unit may move one space after combat. So, let me just break that down for you. Basically, if he's next to an ally, so let's just say Celica, Alm gets effective against dragon. And if he's not, he gets distant counter. But either way, when he finishes combat, close call, which I believe knocks the enemy back, will activate. Or, I don't know, whichever effect it does, let's just say it moves Alm back one space. It moves him back one space. And then, you basically kind of give what you do if you have cavalry or flyer in 3 houses and can move one more adjacent space. So, basically, you can move an extra space. Like, you can pretty much get the damage reduction without the movement of Alm. Or move an extra space back, or to the left or to the right. I think that's actually kind of going to be a really fun mechanic, and I do think he would be the 4-star focus of the banner. You can all say your own opinions on that. I don't really think about this. I kind of just expect them all to be 5-star. I do need to make one 4-star focus. I don't generally think about it. I think Alm could be that, but that's my opinion there. And obviously, the close call is what I think is preventing me from being certain on that. But also, he is a seasonal, and they are fine with making really powerful seasonal 4-star focuses. I mean, Zane exists. His one weakness is he isn't good for Arena. Oh no, who cares about Arena? I believe Young Celica's stat spread is based on Young Merrick, but let's jump into this immediately. Now, just quick thing, visually wise. I gave her the tome of Storybook, which I think could be just a really fun play on the fact she is a child. That's why a lot of these are homemade weapons. I think that could be a really fun mechanic there. And for visual flair, maybe she would just open the book at the enemy instead of, like, read it. And it would send out like a little Puppet Duma and Puppet Milla or something. So, its effect converts foes' debuffs into buffs for the user. So, visual buffs, basically, would convert. So, let's say you put -5 attack on the foe, due to any unit you have. Young Celica would attack. She would remove that -5 attack and turn it into a +5 attack for her for that same duration. So, basically, you can turn skills like, I believe it was Phantom? No. I can't remember the skill's name, but it's the one that targets the highest member with that stat that the opponent has and reduces it. You can turn those into buffs for Celica. If this happens, unit is guaranteed to make a follow-up attack. So basically, not if she has a buff like this, it's if she steals the debuff. Which is why she has bonus doubler built into her kit. Then, also, her exclusive skill, Alm's Gift, which could have like a flower wreath icon, I'm not sure. If unit is receiving a buff from an ally, grants that buff as a debuff to all foes within 3 spaces. So, this is a bit different. Basically, like, when I say buff from an ally, I kind of effed up my phrasing here, to be blunt. It's like, if receiving, like, rally buffs. So, like, you can't use tactic buffs to get this effect. Basically, you're using, like, rally up, rally attack speed, rally speed. Kind of, just rally skills, basically, are what activate her effect. Her mechanic is basically around causing debuffs on the opponent using skills like Alm's Gift, and then receiving them on herself to boost her own power. No, this does not turn her debuffs that she ends up getting on herself into buffs. It just does the opposite. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, I feel. Because if you reduce someone's attack to a point where they can barely hit you, and then Celica steals it, they can hit you again. And Celica's just slightly more hitty. But, like, yeah, if this lasted for the rest of the game, or as long as the condition's met, it will last as long as that condition met on Celica. So if she's the fastest unit, if it's the fastest enemy unit, Celica will only have it for a turn. If unit is in set radius of this unit, Celica will keep it as long as she's in the radius of the inflictor, if that makes sense. This is who I came up with to be the duo hero, being Tobin, Kliff, and Gray. As well, actually researching this, just because I only played Echoes, not Gaiden, turns out their artwork for Gaiden was literally one piece of artwork simultaneously. They were just one threesome. Looks like they weren't even individual characters. So, they are a lance infantry with some new skills. So, let's get into them. Homemade Spear. Minus special cooldown 1. If special triggers, unit gains +2 to attack, speed, defense, and res. If unit is adjacent to an ally, grants this effect to them as well. So basically, if they are adjacent, you know what I mean. So basically, if they're adjacent to an ally, they grant +2 to all stats as well. Also, don't you love autocorrect? If adjacent to an ally. Their exclusive special, which has a 2 cooldown, that's what the 2 is there for. So basically, they have a 1 cooldown on their exclusive special, all for 1. If unit has a higher attack than the opponent, you will get a guaranteed follow-up attack plus a brave effect. Hence why they're so stacked on attack. So basically, if their attack with their weapon in play is higher than the opponent's attack, they will be guaranteed to make a follow-up attack. And also, if they have higher speed by 5, they will also deal a brave weapon effect and be able to quad. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, maybe increase it to a 3 cooldown special and give it away as an inheritable special. And then their duo skill. Adjacent units act as cavalry in movement for 1 turn. This recharges every odd-numbered turn. Again, Dictate, seriously, you're gonna get me demonetized. Like, Dictate combined with autocorrect half the time just kills you. So basically, when it says act as cavalry, they'll have 3 movement spaces, but won't be able to walk over cavalry things like trees. They just lose that ability. They just become horses. Basically. I think it's a pretty decent mechanic. I think it would be fun. You know, the usual. Now, just thing I want to address, I think Faye could end up being the Tempest unit. I'd say it's either her or Conrad who's up next. What? We literally wore out every other option. Mostly because of the trio there. Just changed Life and Death 4 to Life and Death 3. I just felt 4 fit her kit better. And note, her stat spread shown is with Life and Death 4 in effect. I still want to give someone sticks as a weapon, so I decided to make her a dagger that's throwing sticks at the opponent. Unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. If unit doubles and is within 2 spaces of an ally, both Desperation and Vantage effects apply. So, basically, she's Mini Kronya. Just arguably, technically, could be even more powerful than Kronya, because she's getting the Kronya effect. With a slightly different condition, and has distant counter, or close counter, built into her weapon. So, basically, Kronya Jr. Again, with her weakness being her frail defense and res already being quite low before taking a big chunk of it for life and death. But I think that could be a really interesting unit. And last but not least, Conrad. He could also be our Tempest unit. I just don't feel like that's a good idea. Having 2 Conrads in the Grail pool just seems weird to me. So you could make him that, just change his tier 4 skill out. It's not too big of a deal. But here is his weapon, Playhorse. If unit initiates combat, they cannot counterattack. I think it's supposed to be, if foe doesn't have 100% of HP, unit can attack lower defense or res stats. If unit uses a movement skill, reposition, swap, shove, etc., neutralizes penalty of unit and ally enterprise, what? I'm just gonna say. And ally unit bonus. Oh, and effects bonus doubler on ally units. Bonus doubler effect. God, dictate plus autocorrect just doesn't make sense sometimes. And so I'm reading these out for you today. Also because I was sick while I was writing these. You see how that goes wrong, right? So basically, Cronya's condition there for her weapon. And then, kind of with a, basically, if that condition meets, will attack the lower defense or res stat. Gale Force, you can kind of see how that will play into the kit. I can just imagine him riding as a cavalry unit, just a toy horse. Just kind of a rocking toy horse, and just, like, holding one of those, like, horse heads on a stick as his weapon. And I think that would be adorable. Also, quick thing I just want to address here, which I completely forgot to. With Tobin, Gray, and Kliff's duo skill, it would turn... Because this is what I want to make it. I just forgot to mention that in both the description and my analysis of it. It would make cavalry units act as infantry for that turn as well. So they would be able to move into bushes. In exchange, they would lose a movement space. And note, if they are in a bush at the end of the turn when they switch back, no, they are not stuck in that bush. They're basically able to move in... They're basically not able to move further into the bushes, but they're able to move out. Genuinely, I think that's it for the banner, so let's jump into the conclusion. Now, I did say at the end, at the end, I'll explain why I think this banner is so likely. It's quite simple. Last year, we got the FE1 30th anniversary banner. So, if they decided to keep that trend up and do one for FE2, Gaiden, we would technically eventually get to Echoes, but stop right there, because I know someone's saying it or thinking it. Echoes is a remake of Gaiden. Hence, this would be the next one if they continue to do child banners like that, which I really hope they do, because that was one of my favorite banners this year. I think overall it's my banner with my favorite artwork as a whole. Not my favorite artwork in the game or anything, but just as a whole banner, including Tempest, my favorite. So, I would love to see this banner be included in Fire Emblem Heroes, and I think it has a decent shot. What do you guys think? You can tell me in the comments if you want. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you have a good day, and sorry about the whole Halloween summoning thing. I addressed that in the last video.